Hey, what's up guys, it's Mark Yoon, and today I'm bringing another hopefully exciting video. So as a follow-up to yesterday's video where I was talking about all the different bonus characters that have appeared in the Soulcalibur franchise over the years, and my top favorites, I wanted to continue that trend with today talking about the guest characters, and then following it up with my favorite guest characters that have appeared in the Soulcalibur franchise to date. So obviously there's going to be a lot of groundwork to cover here, so to try and keep the video as short as possible, I may speed up my talking. I'm sorry about that. If you have any questions, drop them in the comment section down below. And the first thing we are going to start with is Soulcalibur 2, because obviously there were no guests in Soulcalibur 1 or Soul Edge. So Soulcalibur 2 is the first game in the Soul series to have guest characters, and one unique to each of the home console versions. So obviously Link from the Legend of Zelda series appeared on the Nintendo GameCube, Heihachi Mishima from Tekken series appeared on the PlayStation 2 version, and Spawn appeared on the Xbox version. In Soulcalibur 2 HD Online, which you can get on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, which I would recommend because you can actually get Heihachi and Spawn in that. Both Heihachi and Spawn appear without console restriction. Link, however, was Nintendo exclusive, so it did not appear. Note that Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII was originally meant to be a guest character in the PlayStation 2 version, but the deal was cancelled and he was replaced with Heihachi. So we could have actually had Cloud in Soulcalibur 2 as opposed to Heihachi, which was probably my least favorite of the guest characters, but at least he had a hand-to-hand combat style, which I wish they would bring back so we can use it for our created characters. But with that being said, I think my favorite of the three was obviously Spawn. Personally, I probably didn't have as much gameplay time with the GameCube version as I did with the Xbox and PlayStation 2 versions, even though I did own all three. And that was just due to the time that I was playing the games and like what I was prioritizing. And at that time, like I was prioritizing my Xbox and my PlayStation over my GameCube, because I believe the only thing I was really playing on GameCube at the time was Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. But I definitely had a lot of fun with all three characters. Even though, you know, it's not like the greatest that Heihachi was actually in it. But with that being said, we're going to move on to the next game, even though I wish Cloud would have been in it. And in Soulcalibur 3, now a lot of people don't know this. This is kind of like a secret gem of Soulcalibur 3. It was perceived that there were no guest characters in the game, but that's actually not entirely true. So Cosmos, one of the main protagonists from Namco's Xenosaga series, can be created with a Create a Soul part, namely the Type X set, which if you do unlock them and you go into the character creator, you can actually replicate Cosmos, and I believe you can also do the alternate version of her, or her nemesis in that game, Telos, I believe her name was. So there was actually two different variations of the Xenosaga characters that you could create in that game to kind of make a pseudo-guest character. So I wanted to include her in the list anyway because she wasn't a bonus character. It was pretty much a pseudo-guest character. It was a widespread myth that Dante from Devil May Cry was meant to be a guest character in the game before being scrapped for unknown reasons. However, there's no reliable sources for this information, and the producer, Hiroki Yotoriyama, went on to deny it in an interview for Electronic Gaming Monthly. And I only mention that because, like, producers, when deals fall through, often don't want it to look like it was a bad deal that they either presented to give out to other companies for future, like, collaborations or for funding from investors. We've seen this recently with Mortal Kombat 11, saying that Ash Williams from the Evil Dead series was not to be a guest character, even though they played the chainsaw in the back of the trailer, and his game data is in the code of the game that data miners revealed, and he's highly rumored to be in the next season pass. So it just, obviously the deal fell through and Ed Boon denied it, and anyone that was associated with the game, producers and the like, just denied flat out that Ash was even in the game. I believe even Bruce Campbell himself, the actor who plays Ash, denied it, but they were all lying. So it's not really like you can trust exactly what they say when it comes to word of mouth. It's just to save face for everybody for business reasons, obviously. So if a deal is dead in the water or a deal is taking a prolonged period of time, they're just going to deny it until such time that they are actually factually evident. That way, they're not ostracizing any fans who directly were buying the purchase of the pack for that specific character, and then if there were rumors again in the future, would outright, like, just avoid them. So, I can understand why they would do that, but I don't take the producers at word of mouth when it comes to things like that, and that includes the current one, which is Motohiro Okubo. So, let's move on. And Soulcalibur Legends had one guest characters, and it was Lloyd Irving from the Namco RPG Tales of Symphonia, which actually was another hidden gem that people didn't know, but indeed, Lloyd Irving was a guest character in a Soulcalibur game. And Soulcalibur Legends is definitely a Soulcalibur game. It's not just a spin-off. It was entitled to the old lore. It was wrapped completely up. It wasn't just a what-if game. So I felt the need to include that here. Now, Soulcalibur 4 is a more recent title, so y'all remember the guests from that, but I'm not sure if everybody knows the exclusivity of all those guests, so I just wanted to cover it again. Soulcalibur 4's guest characters were all from the Star Wars franchise. We had Yoda, Darth Vader, and Galen, who is Starkiller, Merrick, referred to as the Apprentice in the game. With the latter specifically from the video game series Star Wars The Force Unleashed, meaning all original live-action characters are based on the non-canon Legends series where Starkiller hailed from. So, obviously, we know that already. I just wanted to include it here, but I believe that was in conjunction for The Force Unleashed 1 promo, if I'm not mistaken. I know that, like, you could only get Yoda in the Xbox version, and you can only get Vader in the PlayStation version, but they later renounced that by making them DLC for each respective system, so you can actually have all three characters on both consoles. For some reason, I don't have Yoda on mine again. I thought my save data did, so I'm going to have to probably repurchase him. So let's hope that the license is still up so he's available in the store. I haven't checked my PS3 in a while for that, but I guess I'll find out. Like I said, Darth Vader is available on the PlayStation 3 version as downloadable content on the Xbox 360 version. Likewise, Yoda is available on the Xbox 360 version and downloadable on the PlayStation 3. The Apprentice is available on both PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. While debuting in Soulcalibur 4, Anglefear could be considered a guest character due to her direct connection to Sergeant Frog / Keroro Gunso franchise. So that's something I didn't know yesterday when I was covering this. I think I knew it at the time, but I kind of forgot about it. When I included Anglefear in my bonus characters, she could technically be considered another pseudo guest, but I still would include her probably on both of these lists because she is kind of in the gray area as to what she technically is. And I wouldn't call her a complete guest character because she does use Sung Mina's style, even though it's a unique weapon. Usually the guest characters have their own styles that they bring to the table, and Anglefear didn't fit that category. That's why I put her in the bonus list. So we're just going to move on to the next. In Soulcalibur Broken Destiny, we got Kratos from God of War. He was definitely the guest in the PSP version of the game. And Broken Destiny is actually a hidden gem. I kind of liked playing that on the PSP, and it did have create a character, even though it was a watered-down version. And it wasn't like an actual story mode, I want to say. It was more of an arcadey game, but I definitely enjoyed it for what it was, and it was really cool to have Kratos in there. So anyone who wanted Kratos in any of the previous iterations of the game got them in the PSP version. In Soulcalibur 5, Ezio Auditore, the main protagonist of Assassin's Creed 2, was officially revealed as a guest character for Soulcalibur 5, representing both consoles. He uses a hidden blade, a sword, a crossbow, and a hidden gun in battles. So everyone that knows that Ezio Auditore was the main guest for Soulcalibur 5, but we also had a secret guest, which most of you know about, but Devil Jin from Namco's other fighting game, the series Tekken, makes an appearance as a character creation exclusive style. The style is used by several quick battle opponents, including Harada, Tekken, who is modeled after a Tekken developer, Katsuhiro Harada. So, what we didn't know, or what was rumored at the time, is that Bayonetta from Sega's Bayonetta series was considered, but she was scrapped because of her hair attacks were too elaborate to include. This is prior to her home series being co-owned with Nintendo. So we could have had Bayonetta in the game, and obviously she showed up in Smash years later, so it's not off the table for her to come back at some point. I don't know if they would be too intricate now, especially with the new console generations coming out. We're just going to have to wait and see on that. And now let's start with our current generation, which is Soulcalibur 6. Soulcalibur 6 is the third game to have more than one guest character since Soulcalibur 4, and the second to have more than one guest character series since Soulcalibur 2, mostly particular one in the HD version. This game follows similar guest content, including routes as Bandai Namco's other fighting game Tekken 7. It is also the first game to feature background cameos and guest character stages. So the first character that obviously revealed that we have is Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher series. The titular main protagonist from the novel book series The Witcher, heavily based on his video game adaptation counterpart, appeared as the first guest character to play a more vital role in the main storyline. He fights with a seal sword, a silver sword, and Witcher sign magic, which for creative character, which I'm so thankful that in Soulcalibur 6 we actually get the guest characters, not only clothing options and items, but we also get their styles for Creative Soul. That's something they've never done in the past, which I know a lot of people wanted Algol's style. A lot of people wanted to use different character styles like the lightsaber or even the bonus characters. Like I really wanted to use Shura's twin katanas, but they were never unlocked in Soulcalibur 3. So that was really one thing that Soulcalibur 6 has done right, and I will give credit where credit is due. 2B, one of the main protagonists from the Square Enix video game Nier Automata, was both the first completely female and downloadable guest character, as well as the first guest to have customized costumes. She fights with Victoria's twin-style large sword named Treaty and Contract, and she also plays very fun. She's probably one of the more different characters. I would put her up there with Grow, because a lot of her attacks simulate lightning and laser beams and cannons and stuff like that. So she's pretty fun to play especially with her floating swords on her back. Another thing that I would like to include about Nier Automata is she also has all of her costumes unlocked for creation characters, as well as broken down bit by bit. So it's not just her outfit. You can actually do the layers of her outfit, which I thought was really unique and cool for that character. Next up, we have our most recent guest on the list, which is Haohmaru from the titular protagonist of SNK's Samurai Showdown. First appeared in Season 2 Pass with the first male guest character to have customized costumes. He fights with a katana and sometimes uses a gourd of sake as a sub-weapon, which is rarely used as a sub-weapon in his home series, and some of his other crossover fighting game appearances like Capcom vs. SNK 2, Neo Geo Battle Coliseum. Additionally, one of its secondary protagonists, Nakoruru, can be created by downloading the Haohmaru pack, or most importantly, the Season 2 Pass first before getting the customization. Same goes for its main announcer, Kurokuro. That was a really cool feature that I did not realize was a thing until actually getting together the materials for this video. So I'm probably going to try and create that character, because like I said in my previous video when the Haohmaru trailer came out, that I'm not that familiar with the new iterations of Samurai Showdown. I've only played the original version, I believe, on the Mega Drive or the Neo Geo. I forget which one because it was so long ago. But I am really going to get into the series based on Haohmaru's inclusion in Soulcalibur. So with that being said, when I pick that game up, maybe I'm going to actually try to recreate this character using the custom parts that they gave us in the game. But for now, I did use his creation character for one of my, I guess, original characters. It's just a version of myself that is using his weapon, because I used to use Mitsurugi's weapon exclusively, but I have since moved on to Haohmaru's because I like the moveset much more, and his annoying reversal edge is not baked into his basic combo string. So I definitely switched that up, and plus I like that he's blowing like alcohol on his sword and lighting it on fire and like hitting you with the gourd. That's pretty cool. So we're coming to the end of my video now, and just like yesterday's video, I want to give my top 3 favorite guest characters of all time that have been in the Soulcalibur franchise. Number 1, okay, we'll start from number 3. Number 3, which is still in my top 3, so it's not my least favorite. I'm definitely excited that he was in the game, and it was really fun to use this character. And that is actually Kratos on the PSP version. I actually thought it was really fun on the PSP version to have an exclusive character even though it would have been nice to port him over as DLC later to the actual console iterations of the game, I had a lot of fun with Kratos. Kratos is a cool character. His whip chain thingies are really cool. And at the time, I was playing like the PSP versions of God of War, so I was really into it. So I definitely want to give a big shout out to Kratos, and I was happy that he was actually in the game. My second favorite character that has been in the game thus far, it used to be on the list that it was 2B, but I believe now since Haohmaru has been put out, I'm going to bump 2B out of that and unfortunately replace her with Haohmaru. I still really like 2B, and if I was going to give an honorable mention or give a fourth list, then she would be number 4. She was my top 2 wanted character for the season for guests. You can go back and check out my video when I was doing predictions on who could possibly be in it. 2B was my number 2 most wanted character. I believe number 1 was Kiryu from the Yakuza franchise, the Dragon of Dojima. So I still want a bare-fisted style, but with that reason entirely, and for those I've mentioned for Haohmaru already, he has become my number 2. And for those of you that know me, should know that number 1 is not going to be a surprise to anybody. Spawn is probably my favorite guest character I've had in the Soulcalibur franchise to date. The gameplay in the background that you're seeing is most likely from that, if I remember to record it. And not only did you get different variations of the character, like his meat face, his reveal face, and his original blue and red costume, as well as the black and white costume, I just thought his axes, Agony, was really fun to use, the flame attacks. He was just an all-around fun character to use, and even though it wasn't completely true iteration of Spawn that I wanted to see in the characters, it was the closest we had at that point. So I even had the figure that came with the stand and had like real chains on it and stuff. It was pretty cool. But those are my top 3 favorites. And as always, I want to know what your top 3 favorites are in the comment section down below. And I would also like to know what other kind of videos you want me to cover on Soulcalibur or any other fighting game for that matter. And has Haohmaru's inclusion or 2B's inclusion or any of the guests made you want to play the actual game that they were cross-promoting at the time? I always think that kind of stuff is interesting. As always, guys, leave a comment and drop a like if you like the video. And I will catch you tomorrow. Peace.